Okay, so let's review our triangle congruency postulate, shall we? All right, so we're always going to have some combination of an angle and a side, okay? Whether it's called a hypotenuse, a leg, or just a side, some form of angles and sides in which are enough information to prove that our two triangles are congruent, okay? So if we look at this first one, I'm going to highlight everything that I know to be congruent, just as like separately congruent, just the corresponding parts. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this side here in yellow that's congruent to another side. That counts as one side. All right, to whereas the AB congruent to the SQ is counting as two sides, okay? Just because we count 1, 2, we're looking for the amount of corresponding sides. So we're looking for pairs, sets of sides. So we've got two sets of corresponding sides that are congruent, and we've got one angle that's congruent to another corresponding angle, so we've got one set. So we're going to have some form of two sides and an angle, okay, as our postulate. But we need to think of how we should order this. So, like I said, I kind of like to start from the top and kind of work my way around the triangle and see what's congruent. So here we've got a side, I'm going to keep going, an angle, and a side. Or we can think about our two pieces of information that we highlighted as sides, meaning right here and right here are what form our angle. Okay, so we actually need to make sure our angle is included between our two sides. All right, so yes, they are congruent. We know that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle SQR. Make sure those are corresponding parts, okay? The angle A, that's congruent to angle S, those should be in the same spot. All right, and then if I'm going along this side to get to B, then I need to go along that congruent side to get to Q. Okay, so these should be corresponding parts. All right, and we know this by using the side angle side postulate. Okay, next up, we've got a hypotenuse here. I know it's hypotenuse because we've got a right angle. Okay, right angles should tell us we're going to be using one and one theorem only, and that's going to be our hypotenuse leg theorem. All right, we've got a hypotenuse set and a leg set that are corresponding and congruent. Therefore, I know triangle ABC is congruent to triangle MLN. Okay, next up, we have a side. We have an angle, and we have another angle. Okay, so even if maybe these don't look quite congruent, we are given those arc marks and tick marks. So we actually know that they're congruent. So knowing that angle A is congruent to angle F, angle B is congruent to angle E, and knowing that the side AC is congruent to FG, we are going to have some form of an angle side or angle side angle. We just got to figure out which one that is, okay? Because we've got two angles, boom, boom, and one side, boom. Or two angles, boom, boom, and one side, boom. All right, so we just have to figure out the order. Now, when it's written like this one, angle, side, angle, that means the side is included within those angles. That means that these two angles would be formed by one specific side. So it'd have to be this one. It's not that one. So our side is not included. Therefore, we can get rid of that guy. And we know that by angle, angle, side, that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FEG. Okay? Next up, whoops, I should be circling yes in all of these. Let's take a look. So, it says that this side is congruent to this side. This side is congruent to this side. And that this angle is congruent to this angle. Okay, well now we're in kind of a pickle because look, this ABC triangle is using a side angle side method to prove congruency because that angle was formed by these two sides. But triangle LNR has two sides that are not including an angle, so side angle. Okay, so that is where we can see, oh, no, we do not have enough information to state that these triangles are congruent. If they were both the same postulate, okay, a side angle side postulate, then it would work, but we do not have enough information to state that these are congruent. Okay? Next up, we've got an angle, a side here, and we're looking for one more set of corresponding parts. Now, there isn't anything given to us necessarily that's marked congruent, just things that are, assumed to be congruent, like these vertical angles here. Okay, vertical angles, I know for a fact that I can draw congruency arc marks there. We've got an angle, a side, and an angle. Yes, they're congruent. Angle, side, angle is our postulate that we are using. So we can state that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle EBC. All right, once again, make sure corresponding parts are in the same order when writing congruency statements. Cool, I marked yes. All right, let's see what we have here. So I've got a side. Cool, that's one set of sides. Got these angles congruent to each other. And then look, I've got these triangles that are sharing this side, which if they're sharing it, that means that this side is also congruent to itself. Okay, remember the reflexive property. So yes, that's enough information. We found that we had a side, an angle, and a side on both of these triangles. So we can state that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD. Awesome.